Hello everyone! So happy you're here. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Also, drop a comment letting me know your location. I read them all. Let's get started. When Leah stepped through the front door after work, a faint, inscrutable smile traced her lips. She quietly slipped off her shoes, tucking them away in the corner of the living room, then headed straight to the bathroom. She stayed there for nearly 40 minutes, taking her time, attending to every detail with deliberate care. Meanwhile, Damon was in the kitchen, putting the final touches on dinner. He hadn't questioned her about why she was dressing up so meticulously. He just noticed it, and the gesture touched something in him. Lately, there had been a widening distance between them, the kind that grows slowly, fed by the repetition of everyday life. Still, he clung to the hope that this evening might be different. Maybe it would bring them closer again, stir the embers of something that had started to cool. They sat down at the table. The silence at first felt normal, both worn down from the demands of the week. As the meal unfolded, Leah began to talk. At first her words were casual, but soon they carried more weight. She described changes brewing at work, quiet discussions about restructuring, the looming threat of layoffs, shifting priorities, and the possibility of an opening in leadership. Damon listened with focus. He had always admired her determination. Her job was integral to her identity, and he'd always supported her drive. But as she went deeper, the air between them thickened. She brought up her supervisor, Aiden. She described how he didn't play favorites in any obvious way, but kept what she described as a selective closeness with certain women on the team. Damon wasn't sure what she meant exactly, so he kept his thoughts to himself and let her continue. Then she placed her fork on her plate, met his gaze with unsettling steadiness, and began saying something she had clearly practiced many times over. She told him she had made a choice, one that might seem outrageous at first, but that she had carefully considered and believed to be practical, even generous. She said that this coming Friday after work, she would be meeting Aiden at a hotel. He had invited her, and she had accepted. She framed it as a one-time event. No emotion, no attachment, no ongoing affair. She insisted it was for their mutual benefit, for stability, for opportunity. She was tired of being passed over, tired of watching others move forward while she remained stagnant. This promotion, she said, would finally bring her the recognition she deserved. Just one night, she summarized, to change everything. Damon went rigid. Words didn't come. He couldn't tell if she was trying to provoke a reaction, confess something too heavy to carry, or simply revealing a decision already made. Her tone was level, her expression unshaken. There was no sarcasm, no apology, just the calm delivery of someone laying out a business proposal, not a confession of betrayal. He stared at her, unable to speak. His chest tightened. My thoughts were racing. Everything he thought he knew about them was dissipating before his eyes, and she didn't seem to be shaken. Perhaps that wasn't really the case. She told him that she had been struggling with this for a long time. That honesty is better than cheating, that he hopes he's old enough to understand the reason. It's just intimacy, she said. It doesn't mean anything. Damon picked up his wine glass, gave it a slow swirl, and then downed it in one motion. She kept her eyes on him, perhaps waiting for anger, pain, anything that would show her words had landed. But he said nothing. He told her he respected her commitment to her career, that he admired her ambition. Then he stood and walked away, heading for the bedroom. He scrolled through his phone quietly, trying to absorb the weight of what had just been said. The meal on the table sat untouched. The scent, once inviting, now meant nothing. The flavor had disappeared. Leah didn't follow him. She finished her dinner alone, wordless, then went back to the bathroom to wash off her makeup. Her face looked serene, like someone who had finally shed a burden. In her mind, she believed he would eventually understand, maybe even forgive her. Damon didn't move from the bed. The floor beneath him still seemed solid, but something vital had broken inside. Her words, sharp and cold, kept ringing in his head. Just one night. For the sake of our future. Just intimacy. Each repetition hurt more deeply. Later, long after she had fallen asleep, he joined her in bed. In the dim light, he studied her face, searching for the woman he had once chosen, the partner he'd imagined a life with, a family, a home. But she wasn't there. In her place was someone who had bartered love and loyalty for a calculated opportunity. And in that quiet, shadowed space, Damon made a choice. It wasn't a threat or a grand pronouncement. It was a quiet but irreversible turn. The next morning, he rose earlier than usual, made coffee, set it on the table like always. Then he left for work without saying much. His face was composed, far too composed for someone whose heart had just been shattered. But what he felt now wasn't rage. It was clarity. Clarity about who he was, about what he could and could not forgive. About the invisible lines that once crossed could never be uncrossed. Some betrayals don't need raised voices. Their silence is far more devastating. Leah's betrayal echoed like that, loud, unrelenting, even in stillness. And then, on a quiet morning, while steam filled the bathroom and the sound of running water masked the world, Damon stepped toward her purse lying open on the bed. With precise, steady hands, he slipped a tiny microphone into a hidden seam along the side pocket. An almost imperceptible device. It transmitted directly to his phone via a secure connection. He tested it once, catching the faint ambient sounds of the room, then exhaled. It worked perfectly. He carefully restored every object to its rightful spot and slipped out of the bedroom before she emerged from the shower. When she leaned in for a brisk goodbye kiss, mentioning her day would be chaotic, he simply returned a smile and offered her a warm, sincere wish for a smooth day. By 11:28 a.m., Damon was fully engaged, earbuds in place, attention sharp. Leah was chatting amiably on the phone with a friend, her voice light-hearted and filled with amusement as they spoke about upcoming weekend plans. The familiar sounds of office life, typing, footsteps, ambient chatter, buzzed behind her. Then, another voice joined in, unmistakably Aiden, her supervisor. Aiden approached her office with his usual blend of poise and authority. "Got a minute?" he asked with ease. Leah answered affirmatively, asking her friend to hold on a moment. Aiden entered and immediately shut the door behind him. The faint but definite click of the lock echoed in the audio feed. In that instant, everything shifted. He dragged a chair across the floor and sat down uncomfortably close. The air in the room audibly changed. Tension seeped into their words, captured clearly by the hidden mic. Leah was quiet at first, either typing or collecting herself. Aiden's voice came through next. "Still on for Friday night?" she confirmed, saying the room was already booked. Damon listened, jaw tight. "This'll be good for both of us," Aiden added. "Hope you're ready for a new title." Leah replied with restraint. "Aiden, not here. We're at work." "Someone could hear us," she warned in a hushed tone. He chuckled, unbothered. Then came the sounds Damon dreaded. Soft kissing, her breathing quickening. "Just kisses," she whispered. "Nothing else. If this gets out, it's a disaster." Aiden brushed off her concern. "Just a little pre-celebration." Damon shut his eyes as the audio continued, jaw locked in silent fury. More murmurs, more kisses, the scrape of a chair sliding back, and then Aiden's voice again, assuring her that the promotion was locked in. He left soon after. Damon slipped the phone into his pocket, exhaling slowly. Any remnants of uncertainty had just been erased. He had all the confirmation he needed. His plan required only the slightest refinement. Drawing a breath, Damon scrolled to a number he'd discreetly lifted from Leah's phone days earlier. It belonged to Aiden's wife. He'd never spoken to her. When she answered, her voice was clipped and guarded. "Hello?" He spoke cautiously, introduced himself, mentioned Leah's name, and asked her to remain calm. What he had to share concerned both their lives. There was a pause. No response, but no disconnection either. He went on. He told her he'd noticed a shift in his wife's behavior, one that prompted suspicion. That led him to secretly place a recording device in her bag. Just minutes earlier, he'd overheard a deeply compromising exchange between Leah and Aiden in her office. Flirty remarks, intimate touches, and confirmation of a planned hotel meeting that Friday night. He let the words hang. Still nothing. Then, softly but firmly, he said, "I have it all recorded. I can send it to you, but not yet. I want you to see it for yourself." Emotions surged from Vera's end. "See it?" she repeated, furious. "Yes," Damon replied. "Friday, Monarch Hotel, room 1407. They check in at 8 p.m. Her name's on the reservation. I'll text you the details," he finished. Vera's voice returned, now razor-sharp with rage. "I'll be there. I'll record everything. I'll ruin them both." Damon sent her everything, the name of the hotel, the audio file, booking information, even the room number and floor. Friday night arrived. Leah emerged from the bedroom looking like she was headed for a black tie affair. She explained it was an exclusive executive function, not a +1 event. Damon smiled, offered a compliment, helped her with her bag, opened the car door with gentle flair, and wished her a lovely evening, his expression unreadable to her. Once she was gone, he took out his phone and tapped into the live stream from the hidden mic. He listened as she arrived at the Monarch Hotel, spoke briefly with the receptionist, and stepped into the elevator. The quiet thud of her heels followed down the corridor. A soft beep. The door opened. Moments later, Aiden showed up, voice upbeat and pleased. They admired the room, exchanged coy praise, and made flirtatious remarks about her imminent promotion. The mood was intimate, relaxed. Then, 3 sharp knocks. Neither of them knew that Vera had arrived nearly an hour ahead of schedule. She'd checked in using a pseudonym and requested a room adjacent to theirs, 1406. Once inside, she secured the door, turned off the lights, and sat quietly on the edge of the bed, phone charging beside her. Though her heart raced, her demeanor was composed. Every noise from the room next door, muffled voices, soft laughter, the occasional footstep, cut through her, each one fueling her resolve. She waited. Let them get comfortable. Let them drop their guard. And when the moment was right, when the deception felt most safe, she stood, picked up her phone, stepped into the hallway, and knocked hard on the opposite door. Inside, silence fell like a curtain. "Who is it?" Leah asked, voice tense. Aiden crept toward the door cautiously. Leah peeked through the peephole, and just like that, the trap snapped shut. From behind the door, Vera's voice pierced through. "Open up, Aiden. I know you're inside, and I know who's in there with you." A moment later, the door creaked open. She stepped in, phone already recording, capturing every second. Leah scrambled to cover herself with the bedsheet, her face draining of color. Aiden stood still, paralyzed between guilt and panic. "So this is what a promotion looks like, Leah." Vera's voice rang with fury. "Sleeping with someone else's boss?" Leah opened her mouth to respond, but Vera silenced her with a glare. "You shattered my marriage, and now you're on track to ruin your own." She waved the phone around the room, documenting the aftermath, the guilt, the shame, the truth laid bare. Her final words were for Aiden, "Don't bother coming home." Then she turned, slammed the door, and vanished down the hallway. Before she even reached the lobby, the video had already been sent. No edits, no filters, just raw, undeniable proof. She forwarded it straight to the company president's inbox. Damon got the confirmation shortly after. Just one message from Vera. Mission accomplished. He removed his headphones, closed the app, and sat in silence. There was nothing left to add. What had started as a cold, deliberate plan had now fully unfolded. The damage was done, and the next phase could begin. In the days leading up to that confrontation in the hotel, Damon hadn't been idle. While Leah claimed to be out for meetings or work dinners, he'd been methodically preparing. He met with a top-tier divorce attorney, laid out the full story, provided voice recordings, messages, anything that could serve as evidence, and emphasized urgency. Everything needed to be ready the moment the trap was sprung. And it was. The divorce forms were signed and waiting. The finances had been disentangled. His lawyer stood by, ready to file immediately. Damon had also met with the bank, created a private account in his name only, and arranged for full control over their assets. He set everything up, simply waiting for the green light. The moment Vera's message landed, mission accomplished. He moved. Calm, precise, efficient. He transferred every cent from their shared accounts into his new one. He canceled Leah's bank cards, shut down her access, and locked her out of the financial system. Then he updated the smart lock on the front door. In under 10 minutes, their home had become his alone. He placed the divorce packet, signed, sealed, and ready, into an envelope. Her luggage, packed with essentials, was set in the garage. Just before 11 p.m., Leah pulled into the driveway and entered the garage. She walked up to the door and typed in the code. Access denied. She tried again. Nothing. She knocked, panic rising, calling out for Damon. His voice came from the other side, calm, unyielding. Your divorce papers are here. Your things are in the garage. It's over. He slid the envelope beneath the door. Her hands trembled as she opened it. She recognized his signature and realized everything had been arranged long before that night. Damon, wait, she pleaded. This was for us, our future. I saw an opportunity. His reply came sharp and cold. No, this was for you. And now you're facing the consequences. She stood frozen, her breath shaky, her eyes glistening. Then, slowly, she turned, picked up her bags, and walked back to her car. With no place to go, she drove back to the hotel, hoping Aiden might still be there. He was. Sitting at the edge of the bed, phone in hand, face pale and expression blank. He opened the door without a word. Leah stepped in, visibly shaken. Did they see it? She asked softly. Aiden paused, eyes locked on the floor. The CEO called, he muttered. We're both fired. She sank onto the bed, silent for a moment. Then, what now? What do we do? He gave a bitter chuckle, empty of humor. We? There's no we, Leah. I have to figure out how to salvage what's left of my life. You've done enough damage. Just go. Her voice cracked. Can I stay the night? No, he said firmly. Get out. Once again, she gathered her things and stepped out into the night with no destination. She called a friend, who reluctantly agreed to let her stay for a few days. She spent that night on a mattress on the floor, her phone buzzing with messages, some full of judgment, others with pity. At work, the story spread like wildfire. In a matter of days, the private scandal became public. Aiden's marriage collapsed. Vera filed for divorce, citing infidelity, and releasing enough detail to erase any chance of reconciliation. Leah's divorce from Damon was finalized quickly, with no assets left in her name. In office chat groups, the video was passed around. Screenshots circulated. Whispers became roars. Neither Aiden nor Leah could find new jobs. Reputations burned beyond repair. Aiden, once praised for leadership, now had his name tied to disgrace. No company wanted the baggage. Leah found herself with no job, no home, and no partner. She survived only through the reluctant support of acquaintances. And Damon? He never looked back. For he knew, those who choose betrayal eventually harvest only ruin. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.